All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, with the start of the 2022 NFL season right around the corner, who has what it takes to win the very contentious AFC West? And I think this division has the potential to be the best in football this year. And a lot of teams made a lot of moves in the offseason. So let's see how it works out. Now, I want to start off with the Los Angeles Chargers, and they are the trendy pick by a lot of people to win the AFC West. But will they be able to live up to those expectations? Now, we saw the Chargers lose that heartbreaker to end the season last year, which was a play-in game against the Las Vegas Raiders, but they know what could have been, and now they want to try to build off of that to do bigger and better things this year under new head coach Brandon Staley. Now you have quarterback Justin Herbert, who is one of the best young studs at the quarterback position in the NFL. And this guy really has what it takes. A lot of people feel like he can be an MVP type player. That's how good that he is. Austin Eckler at running back is a fantasy football dream. You also have two studs at wide receiver in Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, who got an extension this offseason. But then you look at what the Chargers did defensively. You make the trade to acquire Khalil Mack from the Chicago Bears. Now you have a pair of edge rushers in Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. Then, the former New England Patriot cornerback J.C. Jackson got big money to be in a secondary that already has Asante Samuel Jr. and Derwin James. And this is what you need. You need playmakers on this side of the football because you think about the explosive offenses and the explosive quarterbacks that you have to deal with in the AFC West this year. So it's going to be important for the Chargers to get off to a hot start, but they also want to go out there and take care of their business because they let some games slip away last year, and that was a big reason why they missed out on the postseason. So right off the bat, Los Angeles will host the Raiders in week number one, and they're at Kansas City in week number two. Two division games to begin the year, and it's going to be very important for them to get off to a strong start. The Denver Broncos, they have some high expectations heading into this season as well. No playoffs since 2015, and that's their longest playoff drought in nearly 45 years. And you think about it, the Broncos are always a perennial playoff team, but it just has not come together since their last Super Bowl run. The arrival of Russell Wilson at quarterback, and the Broncos have had some trouble developing quarterbacks. So when in doubt, what do? You go out there and you get a future Hall of Famer, just like they did with Peyton Manning about a decade ago. Now it's Russell Wilson's turn, and head coach Nathaniel Hackett is going to come in there and he's going to try to get things right on offense. And of course, now you have the guy as your centerpiece in Russell Wilson. But you look at this running game with Melvin Gordon and Javante Williams, and then I like what the Broncos have at wide receiver with Cortland Sutton, KJ Hamler, Jerry Judy, and Tim Patrick. I think this team could be very exciting on offense. And then you think about defensively, they bring in the former Cowboy Randy Gregory as an edge rusher. And like it was with the Chargers, you look at what Denver has in their secondary with Kareem Jackson and Justin Simmons. And then you have the youngster at corner and Patrick Surtain Jr., who I think, can be one of the best cover corners in the NFL for years to come, rather, excuse me. So week number one at Seattle, I circled that game because obviously it's Russell Wilson's homecoming right out of the chute. But I think this Broncos team is going to be vastly improved from what we've seen in recent years. Now, the Las Vegas Raiders, they made the playoffs last year, but they had a very interesting offseason. And with that, just like it is for the Broncos and the Chargers, the expectations have increased. Now, former New England Patriots offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels replaces Rich Bisaccia as the Raiders head coach. Devontae Adams, the all pro wide receiver, was acquired from Green Bay this past offseason. And it's one of those where a lot of people are saying, well, Devontae's not going to put up the numbers that he did with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. To quote the great Lee Corso, not so fast, my friend, because remember, Devontae Adams was catching passes from Derek Carr at Fresno State. They still have that chemistry. Derek Carr is not a great quarterback, but he's a darn good quarterback. And I don't think that a lot of people give him the credit that he deserves. And I think reuniting with his former college teammate, you're going to see some big time passing stats between these two this year for the silver and black. Not only that, you're teaming Devontae Adams with wide receiver Hunter Renfrow, who's one of the better slot receivers in the NFL, and a healthy tight end Darren Waller could really make this Raiders offense exciting. Not to mention Josh Jacobs at running back. You sign Chandler Jones, one of the best pass rushers on the free agent market this year. The team with a guy like Max Crosby. Denzel Perriman at middle linebacker is fresh off of his first trip to the Pro Bowl. And then on top of that, you have one of the better kickers in the NFL in Daniel Carlson. So for the Raiders, they have to find a way to make the playoffs in consecutive years for the first time since 2002, and I definitely like their chances of doing so. And finally, there's the Kansas City Chiefs, and this is a team that has run the AFC West as they've won the division in each of the last 6 years, but it's going to be very tough for them to do it for a seventh consecutive year. A lot of things have changed. Tyreek Hill, the Pro Bowl wide receiver, got traded to the Miami Dolphins. Travis Kelce, the tight end, is a year older. You bring in Juju Smith-Schuster, but the thing is, it's like that explosiveness that you had with Tyreek Hill is no longer there. Orlando Brown Jr. got the franchise tag, but the biggest thing for me, and I go back to Kansas City's loss to Tampa Bay a couple of years ago in the Super Bowl, the Chiefs' defense in that game got exposed. They didn't address it afterwards in the draft or free agency. It's really caught up to them. Kansas City was 27th in the NFL in yards allowed last season, and they lost their best player on that side of the ball, the Honey Badger, to the New Orleans Saints. So I think when you factor all of that in, you still have Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, one of the best to have ever done it. You have Andy Reid, a future Hall of Fame head coach who always knows how to get it done when things look bleak, so to speak. But nonetheless, it's going to be tough for Kansas City this year. Not a lot of soft spots on their schedule, and this is a retooling year for Kansas City. So once you factor that in, with the fact that the AFC West got a lot better, I think it's going to be very difficult for the Chiefs to make the postseason this year, even with the expanded wild card. This division race is still going to be tight with the Chiefs in that mix. But I think the Raiders, Broncos, and Chargers are a little bit better than them. I like the Broncos' stability. I'm going to give them the slightest of slight edges over the Chargers to win this division. But again, I think this is going to be the best division in football this year, the glamour division, if you speak. All four of these teams have Pro Bowl caliber quarterbacks. And then on top of that, you look at what teams did to fix their defenses to slow down these high octane offenses that you're going to see in this division this year. It's all about having the quarterback and the skill players on offense, but you also have to have a defense to stop those guys as well. I'm going to give the slight edge to Denver to win this division. I do think that the Chargers and Raiders will be playoff teams this year, and buckle up for some exciting action in the AFC West, which I think can kind of have the feel of the old AFL days between these teams. That's how good it can be. And with the season right around the corner, buckle up for some good action in this division. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take the time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I am signing off, saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.